right, if that doesn't get you going, I don't know what will. A little Jane's Addiction to come into the pod. How's everybody doing? Here we are after the holiday. Everybody's alive and sober, I see. Everybody has their fingers and hands and appendages. I hope they're very good. We had a fun episode last week. We had the girls on. We talked about ketamine therapy. It was interesting to be in a Foursquare, video where you had tons of sober time and a bunch of different ways that everybody accomplished that. So it was fun to see. It was a good. We'll have the girls on again for sure. So yeah, Fourth of July, I had a good one myself. Didn't do much. Just didn't drink. Didn't crash any cars. I didn't overdose, and I didn't set anything on fire. So that's definitely a step in the right direction for me for the Fourth of July. Fourth of July for me has always been bad. Me personally, I tend to fall apart in August. I don't know why, and Fourth of July was always the start of that. So I'm talking to a lot of people right now who have white knuckled it through the holiday, and it's hard. People think, well, all right, you were a heroin addict. Why can't you just have a beer? What's the big deal? One beer, one beer does not end in one beer and a cornhole tournament win. It ends with me shooting cocaine 2 hours later. So, we have to be vigilant of what our affliction is, because if we're not, it will get us. And that's the story of the history of anybody who's found themselves on the outside looking in after the Fourth of July. It's a scary thing to not have those defenses up, and before you know it, you're off to the races. So we're grateful for our listeners, and we're grateful to be here again sober. And for those that aren't, we're here for you too. It's not easy, but it's worth it, and it's a process. So we're here to help you through it. Let's say a serenity prayer before we get going here. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Tommy Wilkes, how you doing, buddy boy?
Doing well, man. Had a great 4th of July weekend. Loving the Jane's Addiction intro. Representing our boy
Look out,
David
DB.
Bowie, though.
Oh,
Yep.
DB.
Pretty stellar shirt. I run to Jane's Addiction, Been Caught Stealing. It's a great tune.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, went to the country club to see some fireworks on Thursday. They introduced a laser show, which was very cool. I think they upped the budget on the lasers this year and had like a music mashup about 20 minutes before the fireworks. So that was really fun. Went with family. Awesome. Yeah, and so some friends. Played a lot of golf. Got about 3 rounds in, a couple rain delays. Mm-hmm. But doing well. Looking forward to this week. Have a couple interviews lined up for new job. And doing well. Wanted to mention that my Stanley Cup prediction was right. So wanted to get that out there. I don't think we covered that last episode. Mm-hmm. I did call the Florida Panthers in 7. After a quick adjustment from in 6, I switched to 7. So got that right. And then, was happy to see the Braves beat the Phillies in the series this weekend. Had a fun little text from our friend Mike on Friday night, but kind of silent after Saturday and Sunday. But it's a little having some fun on here,
little
right?
Baseballs, yep.
Little baseballs, but yeah, hey, it's only July, right? I mean, right, Mike. We got to wait till October here. But the Phillies are a great team. But was happy to see the Braves take that series. But doing well, man. I'm excited about this podcast and excited about what we're doing here. And, loving all of the emails that we're getting and, really appreciate the support that we've gotten so far. And so really happy to be a part of this.
Couldn't have said it better. Thanks, Tommy. Michael Oxley.
Hey, guy.
Hey, buddy boy. How are you?
I'm good. I had a nice, relaxing holiday weekend. It was very hot here in New Jersey. I'm not sure where all of our viewers are, but it was very hot and uncomfortable. And I have three dogs, so with the fireworks weekend, it's kind of not a celebration here in our house. It's
Yeah.
a lot of belly rubbing, a lot of belly scratching and hugging and stuff to get them through it. But they made it. They made it just fine.
All right.
And sometimes, that's payback for all the barking that they do.
For sure.
So,
Mike, what would
listen,
you say that color is behind you there? Seafoam green?
I'm liking
um,
that.
I
Mm-hmm.
would call it,
I think it's a great guess, Tim.
I
Uh,
don't know. I
a
could ask my wife.
like a cyan? Like, would it be a cyan,
Well,
maybe?
I
It's too light green for aqua.
It is not
well,
aqua,
it's
no,
like
you're right.
a light mint,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
a watered down shamrock shake.
Oh,
No,
that sounds delicious.
I mean, I don't know. I've never really noticed it really.
Yeah, it just popped out at me here as I had you full screen.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So I did want to say one thing was Zoe and Liam came up. Zoe's now in her second trimester. They
There we
came up
go.
and spent some time with us. And my uh, cousin reached out, a cousin that I haven't seen in about 10 years, and it was very nice to see him. Maybe a little less than 10 years at his funeral, and
Oh,
we were very very close as kids, and it's nice to hear from him. And it turns out that the show kind of brought us together.
That's
He's
awesome.
an avid watcher of the show, and his father is my godfather.
I
So in
see.
my family, that comes with a certain amount of, and he's been a little sick. So Uncle John's doing well. My cousin John is doing well. My uncle's feeling a little better, and I want to give him a shout out. But also my cousin, who's a big time watcher of the show, John Kelly.
I love how the show can bring families like, oh, I saw you on the show. Oh, you're doing great. You look great. It's just a way for people to kind of keep tabs on us.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing. So it's July. Just to check in here, July Awareness Month. It's Disability Pride Month. It's Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. It's French American Heritage Month. I think I fall into that category a little bit. Um, National Bison
There
Month.
we go.
That's what I'm
Yes.
talking about, right? And then a plastic-free July. So no, come on, guys, can we relax with the plastics? It's killing our environment. So
I
that's just
wanted
to
to give a quick shout out to Tim,
check
who
these out.
sent Mike and I these cards. So we're going to be passing these out, and but they've got all our social media platforms. But great job on these, Tim.
Thank you. It's important because like when I'm at AA, when I'm at my meetings, I'm very I hold it close to the vest. There, fucking thing is sharp. God, is that sharp?
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, I hold the podcast close to the vest because I don't want to seem like I'm promoting anything for my own personal gain. But
yeah,
every once in a while, I'll say while I'm sharing, I share at every meeting. I'll say on the podcast the other night, this guy Tommy, he's got it all figured out, and I had a pretty good share about you. But like I say, I'm on the podcast. People come up afterwards asking me, what kind of podcast is it? And we don't sell anything yet. We don't have advertisements or sponsors. We're just doing this to get our footing and to establish ourselves in the recovery community. And we're starting to do a pretty good job of that social media wise. And
yeah.
but yeah, the business cards, the shirts,
I
that
wore the shirt to my Friday meeting, and it sparked two conversations after
yep.
the meeting.
And AA is tricky because it's attraction, not promotion. It's people before personalities, all that stuff. It's Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And somebody said last week, me and Tommy sacrifice our anonymity, and
Yeah,
we both agreed that we didn't even think about that. I'll
yeah,
sacrifice anything for anybody, whatever, but we're sacrificing that for the good of and who am I? Who's Tommy? Who gives a but like it goes against the principles that they teach you in AA, that you have an open forum and you can say what you want because it is anonymous. But we don't promote anything on here. Anybody that wants to be on the show, they ask, and we have their consent, clean time. In touch with all those guys. Anybody that wants their anonymity destroyed, you're welcome to come on our show, and I'll broadcast it to the world for you. So it's just we walk it's not a fine line. It's your choice if you want to be anonymous or not. And I choose to share my gift and do what I can do publicly. But I don't drag AA or any of the fellowships into anything they don't want to be in. That's not what this program is about. And we're just blessed to have this platform to help people, and it helps us. So anyway, that's get the hard stuff out of the way here. Today we're going to talk about support groups for those who aren't addicts, for people who are on the outside looking in, who are on the business end of somebody's addiction. So there's Al-Anon, there's Nar-Anon, there's Alateen. I have that wrong. I throw Grief Share up there. Now, I'm just speaking on what I know, right? So I've heard of the other ones. Grief Share, I know there's a million groups out there that specialize in grief or death or whatever, and it has nothing to do with AA. I threw that up there just as contrast, just to say there's no right way to do it, but there's the wrong way to do it is by not doing anything. So all the AA things are kind of set up there, and then there's my dad runs one called Grief Share for people that have lost a loved one, and addiction comes into that pretty regularly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of different things out there where people who are affected by somebody's addiction can go get support. So we're going to try to look at that just a little bit tonight.
Wasn't that where your dad found out about the treatment center?
Yeah,
Was through one of those meetings?
Yep, and the treatment center's
Yeah.
good on them. They're trying to help people. Everybody has their own way to do things. But yes, my dad found
But
out
that,
about.
that's just to show, how
Yeah,
that helped another person that came from that meeting.
for sure.
Yeah.
And grief. I wonder what the percentages of addiction and death tie into actual grief overall. I mean, your grandmother dies, she's 95, you're not going to go to Grief Share, but if your 21-year-old brother dies from an overdose,
Yeah.
that's grief. You're gonna have grief on that. So like addiction kind of it's really it's not a one size fits all, but it affects everybody. It is a family disease. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Did you guys see the Twister, the new movie that's coming out, the Twisters? Look at how ridiculous this is. So it's the same concept from the original Twister.
Yeah.
With Bill
The original
Paxton.
Twister was great.
Oh, awesome! But now
Yeah.
they're trying to remake Twister, and it
Yeah.
looks so cheesy. It looks so cheesy. I just
Man, it's
it
like the
makes-
same scenes.
Same everything, like
Yeah.
the catchphrases and the little.
Is it
you
out
know.
in theaters yet?
I don't know. I'll see at the end of the trailer that I've. Twins! We got twins! Oh my god! Ridiculous.
Gosh.
I can't take my eyes off it. Now I'm like Twisters.
Twisters, plural.
Yeah,
Okay.
plural.
Nope.
I don't know any of those actors or actresses.
Ridiculous.
July. Okay,
I don't know.
There we go.
It's probably destroying some movie theater near you. What a piece of shit that looks like. I just had to share that. So the other thing caught my eye was the female coach for the Seattle Kraken. Tommy, did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, the Seattle Kraken have announced Jessica Campbell. She was
So like
put
an
on
assistant coach?
she's an assistant coach with the Seattle
Wow.
Kraken now.
That happened in the NBA a few years ago with the Spurs.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then
Yep.
she went and took the job for the Aces, the Las Vegas Aces. But no, I had not seen this with hockey. I love that.
Yeah, Jessica
Okay.
Campbell is now. I
They
wonder
had
what
a decent team last year.
the Kraken.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if what the climate's going to be like in the locker room, and like Mike, like what would, how would you feel if you were an NHL player who walks around with his jock hanging out, and now you have a assistant coach who's a female, Mike?
I'm fine with it. The Cowboys years ago broke this. They had a woman coach for a number of years. J- Jason Garrett.
Yep.
So, I would have no trouble with her coming in the locker room. To be honest with you.
Yeah, she's. So the women's professional hockey league is like starting to catch traction or whatever, and they had their first
Really?
season.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, there's 6 teams, just like the original
Okay.
six. And they've had their first season last year, the PWHL. So yeah, Jessica Campbell, first female coach in the National Hockey League. Good for her. Good for the Kraken. Women are so much smarter than us, so like they really should be in charge of stuff while we just kind of do the grunt work. I was looking at that company Hims where you get your Viagra from and alopecia stuff from for like hair
Oh
treatments.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I saw a commercial the other day with Hims where they also now they treat depression. So it kind of sparks with me like, all right, we'll give you depression medication for your depression, and then your depression medication will cause erectile dysfunction. Now we'll give you medication for your erectile dysfunction, and then all this craziness is going to make you lose your hair, and we'll give you medication for that too. So Hims is a one-stop shop for everybody who is depressed and you can't get it up. So I just found that very amusing that that's what they're doing. What else? Let's Kasha Reynolds, Kajsa Reynolds. She's been a good support of our show, social media wise. She's been very helpful. She runs a group with about 200,000 people in it. She runs a few groups, but she allows our stuff. Like I go on when we're done a show, I go on and I post our stuff everywhere, our promotional content. A lot of it gets flagged and doesn't even get into the group. Kasha is allowing our stuff to get through to reach a broader audience, and it's been really helpful. And she's getting us past that initial wall that you can't get through by
What
doing it
groups is she
manually.
running?
Clean and sober. If you search clean and sober, two come up. She runs the one that has like 30,000 or 200,000 people in it. The other one
Wow.
has like I'm in a ton of groups and we post all the time, and you just get your post was rejected because of whatever. You know what I mean? So she's going an extra step and she's seeding those out and making sure because we're not selling anything. Their defenses are up, their firewalls are up to protect them from having to deal with spam. And there's tons of spam. Most of it's porn. All these recovery groups, it's a girl with huge rack, and she's like, "I'm here, 4 days recovery. DM me. Let me get your Mac card and I'll help you stay clean." So like there's a lot of scamming, but there's a lot of recovery going on too. So like I get why the defenses are in place, but we're not selling anything. We're just trying to help. And she realized that, and I'm kind of getting there with some other people too. So that's good for us.
Yeah.
Very important.
Thanks for
Um,
sharing that.
yep.
I I did see a good movie over the weekend. It was called Space Cadet with Emma Roberts on Prime. It was a very very good movie. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it to anybody.
What
Space
Okay. I haven't
Cadet.
seen that.
Space Cadet? What is
Hmm.
it on? It's on
Prime.
Prime Video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Emma Roberts. Check this out. 1948 science fiction novel by Robert A. Heinlein about interplanetary. Oh, this is right up my alley. Interplanetary control. Hell yeah. All right, I'm in Space Cadet. I'm watching right now. I am watching The Bear,
Yes.
Mayor of Kingstown, The Boys. The Boys is a up show, man. I, I don't know if you ever watched The Boys, but it's about like
I have not yet.
superheroes.
I've heard
Dude,
great
it's
things.
wild.
Are
You
you
know,
through the whole third season of The Bear?
yeah, I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done. Actually,
I'm through like 3 episodes.
I got to the last episode, and I just
It's
didn't
filmed
understand.
a little differently.
It is. It's a good show, though. Really
Yeah,
good
I
show.
like it.
I don't know that kid's name, but he was in
Carmy.
Carmy and from Shameless. I don't know.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah, a lot of good stuff to watch. I've been enjoying that.
I started rewatching Schitt's Creek.
Oh,
You
really?
seen that
That's
show?
yeah. I'm not sure. I've seen the whole thing. I'm not sure. That's a rewatcher for me.
Yeah, they're short.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is. It is funny though. That's a great show.
yeah.
Let's see what else. I haven't had a cigarette in 5 months.
Really? Okay.
5 months, no paper cigarette, and that is the first time in my entire life, my entire adult life.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not one. I came across this. I want to look at this real quick. What do you see when you look at this image?
Oh yeah, it's the old woman versus the young woman. So
This
right
is
now, I see the old woman.
okay. So this is called the boring figure from the early 19th century, whatever. I can't see. I cannot see the old woman in this.
Really?
And and she has hairy arms.
Yeah, still
Or
can't
a
see her.
jacket.
Trying to. Oh, wait a second. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
just
nose. See, I see the
uh,
old woman.
I see the young woman looking away with his big hair
All I
thing.
see is an old woman with hairy arms.
Like I can't. I know it's there. I know if I really tried and did some Photoshop stuff, I could see it, but I just can't see it. So I
That's
thought
funny.
I'd throw myself under the bus and just be like, look at, I can't see this. And I still don't see, as I'm looking at it right now, I don't see the old woman. For those of you that just listen to the show, I'm very sorry about this segment. But yeah, you can look it up. It's called The Boring Figure, and it's supposed to. I don't think it's. I think it just tells. It says how mature you are, or something. Your age, or I don't know what it actually reveals by seeing the older the woman. But yeah, I just can't see the old woman. I know she's there.
See, I'm struggling to see the young woman.
The young woman. If you catch her eyelash and her ear, and you'll see her nose, and it looks like
Oh,
she's walking
now
away.
I see it.
See?
Yeah, looking away. Now I
Yeah.
see it. Yep.
Yeah. So like for some reason I just cannot allow
If you-
myself.
Yeah, the old woman. The nose in the middle is how you, and then the jaw on the bottom with the mouth slightly open.
Oh my god, I see her! I see her! Oh my god! Look at
Wow,
that!
that-
I was looking for it in the hair. Like I was looking for the eyes and the hair. Now I see it. Now
There you go.
she's got
Glad I could be of help.
quite a crooked nose on her. This is
Right.
fun. I knew I should have done this. See, I figured it out while on the air. So
Yeah.
that is the boring figure. Just came across that. Where did I get that from? I got that from. I'm watching other shows. One is Presumed Innocent with Jake
That's a
Gyllenhaal on
great
Apple
one.
TV, and there's
Yeah.
another one that's kind of a knockoff, but it is Defending Jacob. It's with
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Chris Evans, right? So he's the father, and his son's being accused of murder. Whatever. That's where I got that from. So that's two other shows that I have
All right,
been
I'll
enjoying.
check that out.
So all right, let's real quick go into July birthdays before we get started. Happy birthday to Rob Brescia, Janet Green, Todd Britton, Beth Fannin, Anthony Persicelli, Bailey Snyder, Robert Schock, Alexis Scarfiro, Morgan Andrews, and Mike Oxley Jr. Just kind of wanted to we say happy birthday to our
Happy
listeners early
birthday.
on in the month.
What a name, Persicelli.
See, Anthony Persicelli, he's a great dude. Also in there is my sister, my niece, a couple long times. It's just kind of a mix of people in our birthday segment here. People that I know, people that are friends of the show, people that are family. So that's it. Just doing our due diligence. So yeah, let's look real quick last week at the ketamine discussion that we had, because we had a lot of feedback from that. So as an addict, as myself, how would that work? Would that seems like getting high to me, but
Right. It would be too
I would
appetizing.
wonder about
The
that.
gray
too.
line.
Yeah,
I recreationally used ketamine once.
I did too.
I was probably 20, 19 years old.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'll bet IV is something else. I'll bet that's a blast.
You might have a good time, but
Gimme.
Yeah, give me. That's too funny.
Oh,
that's
that is good, too.
That's hysterical.
Oh, man.
But that was my take on it, and this is kind of how Tommy explained the physical allergy part that they talk about in AA. Which is I buy into that. I have a physical allergy toward the substance. When I put it in my body, I have no control over what happens.
And I'll share something. What I learned in AA is the physical allergy part. And I realize that I have a major physical allergy to alcohol and drugs. And so when I ingest ketamine or even, any drug really, the phenomena of craving kicks in immediately. And so
Right.
that's what I would maybe wonder, someone like me, would, my physical allergy react? But, it seems to have worked for a lot of people.
She
It
doesn't.
doesn't want you to go out and party afterwards.
No.
So yeah, like that was I thought a lot about that this week, and as the emails rolled in asking about the physical allergy and what is ketamine and all that, like Mike, from a nursing standpoint, like how do you does it sound like hokum or does it sound like witchcraft when we say we have a physical allergy to this substance, or is there something medically defined there?
Well, I mean, it depends on a lot of situations. But when you say I have trouble with that, I have a physical allergy because
Figured
it
you would.
sounds like a mental allergy.
Mm-hmm.
Physical means do you have go into anaphylactic shock? Do you break out in hives? Do you get diarrhea? Do you, all the things that we read or we see on TV about any kind of drug. So I find it hard to believe that they teach you to say physical allergy towards substances. It's a mental allergy, is what I would think. A physical
Agreed.
allergy, I can tell you what a physical allergy is. And I've seen somebody, in fact, a friend of mine got to die for a cardiac cath about a year ago. Well, he had a reaction to that die. When I tell you his face was almost unrecognizable and it was that big,
Mm,
is that's a physical allergy. Um, Getting sick from a medicine as a side effect. Side effects can turn into physical allergies. I don't know how you can say I have a physical allergy. You have a mental allergy.
mhm. Physical
What
reaction.
you're
Yeah,
having a
it's a
physical reaction by what? Doing this? That's the physical part.
No,
I don't.
it's a yeah. So just to interject here, as far as sharing my personal experience, so the physical allergy part is a body issue where when I ingest drugs or drink alcohol, the phenomena of craving kicks in. So the craving is the physical allergy part. So the body wants more and more and more and more and more of whatever
A
you just put in it.
craving is a craving is also mental, but I don't want to split
It now,
hairs
but
here.
no.
here's the thing: is the main problem with the alcoholic or addict centers in his mind rather than the body. And if I can control my mind to not have the first drink or the first drug, the phenomena of craving does not kick in. So it's like,
Mhm.
let's say someone goes to detox, the drugs, alcohol out of their system. They shouldn't, have cravings,
Right.
right? Because they don't have the drug or alcohol in their system currently. And
Right.
so that is where as an addict, is where I would provide that distinction. Is it's a body allergy for me. When I have the first one, it's game over.
Yeah. And Mike, this is right out of the AA handbook. I've heard this for years. So like when you say you have a physical allergy to a substance, it's metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, that's really what it comes down to. So it's just listen, we Mike, you're absolutely on the money to ask, why
Yeah,
is
it's a
this
great question.
worded the way it is? Um, but as addicts, we're like our brains are so in overdrive already that we
Yeah.
need simple things to catch on to. And we're going to expand a little more on that in the Al Anon thing we're going to talk about tonight. There are several groups where, like, a lot of people listen to our podcast or watch our podcast. They are family members of addicts. They're not addicts themselves. We get great feedback from them. We have more feedback from them than we do addicts. Addicts are usually using or in rehab or just getting clean. A lot of people are dealing with family members that have these afflictions, and the family members pay the price for the bill their family members ringing up by drinking and using drugs. So, there's a few of them out there: Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, Alateen. Um, I'm gonna read a few of the slogans from like Al-Anon, like we're just talking about the physical allergy, the slogans we have with AA. the other side of things, the Al-Anon, the family members, they have their own things that they kind of cling to. Just you don't hear about it much because we're addicts. We don't go to Al-Anon, you know. Maybe our family does, but they're taught to have boundaries and be not secretive, but keep what they learn in Al-Anon to themselves and use it as a tool to keep themselves safe and ultimately help the addict. Now, sometimes it can hurt the addict, but the idea is for this to help all around the families and the addicts, these support groups. Al-Anon is a recovery program for the families and friends of alcoholics and addicts. They believe alcoholism and addiction is a family illness and affects many people who have a relationship with the individual that drinks. The core principle of Al-Anon is that alcoholics cannot learn from their mistakes if they are overprotected. You know, that's good. I mean, that makes sense. Here's some of their slogans. The 4 M's: mothering, managing, manipulating, and martyrdom. The 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. The 3 C's: we didn't cause it, we can't cure it, and we can't control it, referring to the addiction as well as the addict. So for me, like as an addict, as someone who has inflicted myself on family and friends, it's a good tool. This is good for people who have someone who's running their life, who's running them into the ground because they want to get high and use. So they can't understand the addicted mind. Just like I can't teach my cat to speak English. We can't teach non-addicted people what it's like to have the phenomenon of craving, what it's like to be an addict. Why can't you just stop? Just stop. It's not how it works. So like that's where Al-Anon comes in and gives our family members some insight and some knowledge on how to handle these things, and to see what they can't see with their eyes, they have to see it through an alcoholic or addict's eyes. That's what they get by going to the meetings. So the big thing about Al-Anon and Nor-Anon and all that stuff, boil it down to boundaries. And how vast you want those boundaries to be is going to dictate how much separation you have from you and the addict themselves. It's not one size fits all, not even close. There's so many factors. Each case is its own thing, so it's just it's a touchy subject for an addict to look at and be like, well, they're all against me. Nobody wants to help me. How am I supposed to get better? That's the fine line with support groups because what are we doing? We're emptying their bank accounts, we're stealing their stuff, we're crashing their shit. I mean, you have to, certain people need to be cut off. Absolutely. No money, no contact, no nothing. And then there's other people that do need help. They want to get better. Your help, and by giving them a room and a place to sleep, if they're trying to get better, it takes them off the street, then it's a positive. But it's a fine line. And Tommy, I know you know a little bit more about this than I do, but like it's a tricky thing to navigate, is it not?
It can be. So I wanted to share a little bit of the history of Al-Anon. Al-Anon was actually founded in 1951, and so 16 years after AA was founded, and it was co-founded by Lois W., who was Bill W.'s wife. And so the Al-Anon, as Tim, you were describing, is set up for families of addicts and, it's essentially family support groups. And Al-Anon was used in the program that I went to in Birmingham, and they were held over Zoom sessions. And for the families, it was optional, but for them to attend these Zoom meetings and to get an idea of the 12 steps. And so they wouldn't necessarily do the 12 steps themselves, but it gives, a good picture of what the patient is going through as far as the 12 steps. And so it was helpful for my parents to be a part of several of those sessions. And, I've heard, just speaking with other families, that from the program that I went to, they were very helpful. And yeah, it can be a fine line because, speaking of the boundaries, cutting someone off, may hurt them, but, on the other side of it, that may be what needs to happen. And,
Right.
after seeing some of these emails we've gotten, from our viewers where, they're just on a thin line with the addict, and their
Sure.
families are in disarray. And so Al-Anon provides a safe space for these families to come together and, similar to an AA meeting, and, talk through their issues and to help provide a solution, which is what AA does, is to help provide a solution to the alcoholic. And so I think this is a great topic, and Mike, would love to hear your perspective on this too, from someone working at several treatment centers and detox centers.
What I've seen from families, you have let's just use a son as an example. He's finally decided to go into rehabilitation. He's going through detox. He's in a rehab center, and now all of a sudden they want me to go to classes too. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
echoing what I've heard.
Sure.
Why do I need to go to classes to learn how to deal with him?
Yeah.
And my answer is you need to learn how to deal with the new him.
Mm-hmm.
And the new
Yeah,
him is
good
going
point.
to be different. So it's not I think it comes from a good place, Al Anon.
Yeah.
It lets them know that it really does exist. It's not, some kind of beer party they go to every night. It really is, it's making it serious, but I have a lot of trouble with parents saying, "What is this, Naranon? What is this? And what is this for my teen daughter? My husband's in here. They want me to do that."
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It
He's
is.
the problem. Why do I have to go to class? Why do I have to learn something? He needs to learn how to be,
Yeah.
and that's right to a certain degree. But you never learned how to deal with the new him,
Right.
the new him that may slip. And how are you going to handle that? There are things. One thing, Tommy, what if I'm a social drinker and my wife is in rehab and I go to Al Anon and she starts Alcoholics Anonymous? But I'm a social drinker. Can I go to a meeting if I'm a social drinker
Yes.
for Al Anon?
Yeah, Al-Anon is for the family
Family.
members of the addict.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
like, I'll share my experience real quick. For me, like, my parents want to help me if it's the new Tim. Nobody wants to
Mm,
enable. This is where enabling comes in.
yeah.
Nobody wants to enable the addict in active addiction. Your heart wants to
But they
help the
do.
person, right? But like
Yeah.
that's where the fine line comes in. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
support in that situation, I say, is important. It may be the down payment for an Oxford house or whatever it is, whatever that looks like. If they're trying, and this is how my parents have always have been, if I'm trying, they're gonna help. And my siblings and families also didn't understand that. Like, well, he's gonna mess up again. Like, yeah, that's my track record, but you can do things and have people at an arm's length. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'll help you with this. We'll see how you do. And here are my boundaries. You're not touching my car. Your medications get locked up. Like there can be ways to help where by doing nothing would hurt, but it's every case is individual. There's no one size fits all here. It's tricky because like you want to help the person, but you don't want to enable them, and you have been enabling them for however long they've been using. Now they want to get clean. Now you're gonna not enable them. Like it's in some situations it doesn't make a lot of sense. But you have to think of the parent, the family member who didn't ask for this. They're just getting shit kicked out of them because of you, and
Mm,
they didn't ask for all this stuff. They don't want to take classes and go to meetings, like Mike
yeah.
said.
Well,
Like,
they are optional.
and they are, you're right.
Yeah.
But like the family members that really want to, like I've seen me and Mike worked at a place where they would do not like what Tommy talked about by going through the steps, but they would have family counseling. They would
Mm,
bring the family members in to whatever degree. It usually needs to be moderated by somebody
yeah.
because there is no dialogue between the addict
Yeah.
and the person who has a checkbook. The love might be there, the love they might love that person. They still have their memories but there's new addict person that's destroying their life and ruining their credit report. That person they don't know how to deal with and they're afraid. So like Mike, I don't know if that answers your question. I just
I think that it's just I just got a bad taste in my mouth because um, I really don't want to do any steps as the parent of my son who's trying. I don't want to take an inventory of my own problems.
Hmm.
I've put that away with a psychiatrist 25 years ago.
Right.
So here I'm this parent. I'm opening up old wounds so I can be a better parent to Johnny when he gets home.
Yeah.
Why do I gotta? He should just act good. That's what I'm paying you for.
Hmm.
He should want to act good.
Right.
I wish they would rename it and change the philosophy to be like how to deal with the new Johnny instead of making me not support the new Johnny.
New and on.
Like you said,
Yep.
you did it. You said it in the perfect way, Tim. You said, "I'm not supposed to help now that he's got his act together." Well,
Yeah.
geez, I wish you would have told me this the first time you stole my money.
Right.
I wish you would have told me this the first time I bailed him out of jail.
Hmm.
Now everything's going great. Now I'm going to be. Now it's tough shit.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
I don't get it.
the
I
thing
don't get it.
the thing about it is you're dealing with life and death, right? So if this person really wants to change and needs their rent paid at their Oxford house or whatever, there's things you can do to ensure you're not handing them $250. You know what I mean?
Right,
But
right.
but again, as the parent, as the person that's gotten the hell kicked out of them, and did nothing wrong, they don't want to have to navigate these little things. They don't want to have to figure out how best to help Billy because they'll use the term king baby a lot in Al-Anon, and that just it's referring to the addict that just give me, me. I need everything done for me. All I can do is use and sleep. And like, so yeah, the family members are exhausted, and some family members don't want anything to do with you. And some, if they love you enough and you haven't done it, they haven't reached the saturation point, you haven't done enough damage to where they're still willing to help you, they'll look at this stuff and be like, it'll just irritate them more. But like, my advice is this: don't drink the Kool Aid of anything. Just test the waters and just see what's free, because you can jump in and drink the Kool-Aid and now you got blinders on and now you're missing like regular things that make sense because you're stuck with this dogma that you're following. And that's not just Al-Anon or AA or I don't know, space camp or whatever. It's just with anything. That's my advice. Just don't jump in both feet with anything because you don't know what you're jumping into, and like with this being life or death, like if you have to make a decision, like, all right, well, he needs groceries. All right, I'm gonna give him $50 for groceries. If you not giving him the $50 for groceries leads to him being hungry, leads to him being
Yeah,
agitated, leads to him taking a Xanax, whatever. I'm not saying anybody's to blame. I'm just saying that there's a way to help, there's a way to hurt, there's a way to enable, and there's a way to give a handout rather than or hand up rather than a handout.
I
yeah,
like that.
and
I like that a
yeah,
lot.
and that's where the fine line occurs, right? Is situations like that where in one case, helping the person with the $50 could be a good thing, yet let's say what you were talking about, Tim, where the person is really not trying to get well
Yep.
and giving the $50, they're going to go spend it on drugs, right? The down the street.
Right.
I think where Al-Anon can be helpful is where helping the new families, right, that are dealing with you know family members in addiction. Like you've got
Yep.
vets, right, that are in the Al-Anon rooms. You got vets that are in the AA rooms. These
Yep.
people are meant to help the newcomer, right?
Right.
So that's where I think Al-Anon can be very helpful, is helping the newcomer, like the newcomer family, right? And that's where it was helpful to my family, of hearing other families' experiences, right, of dealing with addicts in their family. And so I do get where you're saying, where there's the fine line, but I do think there's a positive because it's a support system.
That's
And
pretty good, Tommy.
yeah,
You know what? I
yeah,
didn't think of it that way. It's good for the newbies that need some kind of guidance.
yeah,
'Cause like you said, there are veterans. Like my parents are veterans. Like a
yeah,
lot of people's like your recoveries come very naturally to you. It's you were born to be sober. You're good sober. You know what I mean? So your family sees it, your friends say it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's easy. I'm sure it's not easy. I'm not diminishing your
yeah,
struggle. I know it's hard, but I know that you're smart enough to know that a lot of people have been through what you just went through 10 times with their families, and they're
Yeah.
overdosing. And so
Yeah.
you have the advantage of having a clear head, and you can analyze everything, but at the same time, you know that
Yeah.
there are situations
Yeah.
that are so fucked,
Yeah.
and the parents are
As you
banged
said, they're
up.
exhausted.
Yep, and they don't need more
Yeah.
work. They need actual advice at that point.
Yeah. And that's where I think, like, some of these Al-Anon meetings can help.
Yeah,
It's affected their relationship too. I mean, a lot of parents that have been through this together and have been enabling and not agreeing on what is a handout or a hand up between the two parents. A lot of times they have problems. There's marriages that suffer because of this.
Yeah.
I would
yep,
rather it be called, um, you know, sober guy, new sober kid, anon,
it's a mouthful.
because I think it's taken two steps back. Unfortunately, you can't see the future and learn this stuff, and you would have treated it different. Oh, if I knew that, I would have been doing this. If
Right,
I knew he didn't lose his new $200 Nikes at school, that he was selling them,
right,
I wouldn't have bought replacements. And then they got stolen again.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a little bit after the fact.
Agreed. And listen, the point of this podcast is this: it's a new age of addiction and sobriety. There's a paradigm shift happening, maybe in the last 5 years, last 10 years. Addiction, alcoholism, the type of drugs, the amount of deaths, all these things are forcing recovery to take a good look at itself again.
Yeah.
And people like me and people that have been going through it recently, they see the way that antiquated things don't fit in, but some things that are antiquated, that seem antiquated, are actually helpful. So like we're entering a new paradigm, a new shift in recovery, and what works for who, and what program helps who, and who helps the family. It's all up in the air again, and that's what we're here to kind of bridge the gap a little bit, because what's been being used to fight alcoholism and addiction isn't really working, and we've gotten to a point where dual diagnosis and all that stuff's kind of, so everything's up in the air. Like everybody's looking for new resources. That's the point of this podcast, to say, yeah, AA works here, might not work here for you. Al-Anon might be good for you. Maybe you should go speak to a counselor. Maybe you need medication.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell anybody how to do it, but we'll tell you what's going on and how we're doing it. So,
I
yeah.
think that's a good point, Tim, about this paradigm shift. And I think that's comparable to this paradigm shift in like mental health awareness,
Yeah,
right? Because you
exactly.
can see that awareness has picked up in the past 10 years,
Oh
exactly
yeah.
what you were saying.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, for sure. So that's where we're at. We stand at the precipice. We're right on the edge. We don't know
I
what's going to happen tomorrow. It's different. There's medication assisted treatment, depression, anxiety, the ketamine. Like there's
Ketamine therapy.
all these things that we don't know what's what. There's so many things out there now,
Yeah.
and it is not even close to a one size fits all. Like sometimes the addict is really done. The family knows it. The addict knows it. Full support. Guy gets better. Or there's an addict that's clearly in the middle of his run, relapsing in and out, not sure what's going on. The family supports him. He's back in the same treatment center again. Like there's so many different things going on that you can't just drink the Kool-Aid right off the bat on any one thing. You need to be, and I think it's interesting because people come to our podcast to listen to us three idiots talk about, like, because they're not getting answers over here, and they're not getting answers over here, and their son's dying here, and this one's in rehab, and they're not getting the answers. They're coming to us and saying, what's really going on? And we're like, we don't fucking know. To be honest with you, it's crazy, and it is. It is a different world right now, and
well said.
lives are on the line.
Yeah.
Let's
Well, we
let's
can help others by, sharing our experience. And
and
I think
that's
that's what we're doing on this podcast, which I think is a very positive things. And we've already seen traction of the viewership, spike in viewership and,
yeah,
emails in. And
yeah,
so I think, what we're doing is a positive thing. And yeah, I mean, it's a tough line. Look at the spike in fentanyl use,
hmm
right? That's
Oh
another
yeah.
thing, I mean, so
yeah. I mean, so that's what we're here for. We're on the front lines. I'm on the front lines. I
yeah,
know that, and I'm seeing it left and right. And I got to be like, I don't have the answers, but we'll never tell you what to do ever. We'll tell you what we've done, We'll
Yeah.
share what other people's have done, people who've been successful. But I'm not going to tell you that you're not sober if you're taking methadone. I'm not a fan of methadone, but if that's what you're doing and you're not shooting up fucking whatever, then good for you. Then that's fine.
That's
Just
correct.
don't die. Pay your bills. Take care of your kids. So that's what we're here for, and we're going to go forward the next few weeks with kind of the theme of paradigm shift. There is a climate change happening, and I've felt it just in my own recovery in the last 3 years or so. People don't know what to do. People don't know what's happening. Why are they doing this? Why are they dying? It's out of control. So we're here to kind of bridge that gap. Tommy's got a great vantage point from where he is. It's almost like an undercover boss thing with him. He was able to come in and like see how it is and test drive it, and it worked fine. But Tommy
Did
will
your
tell you,
parents ever hear the king baby expression?
they did,
Either
yeah.
of you guys?
Mine
How about
has.
No.
Tommy? No.
No.
So
Your
like,
parents never heard the king baby?
They may have. I have not.
yeah. I don't know much of it. I've heard that that's the one thing I have heard is King Baby. He takes everything. He does whatever he wants.
Oh.
He goes to
In
the
Okay.
country club, watch
Yeah.
fireworks and a light show, plays
Mhm.
golf on a holiday weekend, like King
That's
Baby.
not, not what I'm
Go to the
talking
country
about.
club.
You're such a. I wasn't gonna go there, Mike, but yeah.
That's where I'm gonna go. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We are grateful
All
for
right,
Tommy's input.
Thank God he's got the first time right. These
You
people
have-
may be
you have-
avoiding pulling out wads of hair of their own.
From left to right on your screen, you see how absolutely not to do it and how it can be perfectly done. So somewhere in the middle, somebody's gonna fit in here.
Yeah.
So we're all. It's a good time. So let's you guys want to do some clean time, I guess.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, let's get into some clean time here.
Tom, you want me to do the first half?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Here's your clean time segment. Mike, go ahead.
Steve W, 35 days. Good job. Nikki Starnes, 36 days. Cassidy B, 60 days. Get green. There he is. Tony J at the beach in Wildwood, 65 days. 75 days, Jared Black, the man. 76 days, Maria Gladden. I'm glad for that.
Mhm.
86 days, Frank Penny. Don't 86 your sobriety. 96 days. 96 days.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Cobb.
Cobb. Andy G, 98 days. 98 degrees. 111. Jamie Michelle. 159. Michael V. There he is, Ricky McVicker. 161 laps. 212 days. And Patricia Pattage. There he
we
is.
go.
Is that a pink sport coat at the country club?
I love it.
273 days. Will Douglas. 369
There we
days.
go.
Officer Anthony Fields. 471 days. Timothy. Amelia Clarkful. 590. Stella.
Wow.
833 days. 2 years. April Pritchard. Proud of you. Just newly, 3 years. Stacey Baxter,
Yes.
awesome. There he is, Jeffrey S. 3 years. Where's the car keys? 6 years. And Lisa
Go,
Milk
Lisa.
Welke.
There she is.
There's Tina.
7
There you
years.
My girl.
Almost 8.
There's Matt Gillespie, also
Yep.
runs a group, 12 years.
Yes.
Good friend of the show.
And here are your newcomers, the most important people in recovery. Daniel G, 8 days. There we go. Brian Cobb, 17 days. Andreas Estrada, 22 days. Eric Adap, 23 days. Michael Jordan. David D, 27 days, almost to a month. And there is your clean time segment. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.
It works if you work it. If you want to be on Clean Time, send me an email. Go to our website, trash-podcast.com. Go to our social medias, Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Just get up on that. And as always, get yourself some Narcan. It could save life. So yeah, so I just want to share real quick another friend of the show. This gentleman who nothing worked up to this point. He's now in a rehab and seeking the treatment he actually needs, which is great. That's what we're about.
Sitting sitting where he is right now, probably on his 1000th question. Um, that's the toughest first part of the step. Like you always said, step one, and that's it. The toughest part is over. He's
Yep.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And on August 7th we'll be talking to him because that's the feel I got from this guy. This is one of those things where it wasn't an email, it wasn't like on clean time. It was just one of those things where we just kind of talked back and forth a little bit. And he was telling me how he's listening to our podcast, and it makes sense. Other things don't make sense. You guys make sense, And he was a hard headed one. I don't need treatment. I don't need help. And he overdoses again. And he gets into an accident. Like I won't blow up his whole story, but
No,
we played a role in him getting where he needed to go, and that's not us. That's God working through us. That's the universe, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we appreciate
that's
him.
him getting the proper support that he needed at the
Yeah.
time,
Right.
and so much proper support. That's the hand out and a hand up. That's
Yep.
exactly what you're talking about, Tim.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
he took my advice on Matt, and I even have conflicted feelings about Matt. Like, but it is what it is at this point. If this guy's miserable and his life is in shambles and he keeps relapsing, do something differently. There's other things out there. That's what we're here to promote. But we only promote health. We don't promote wealth at all. And it's nice to see. There's other people like that don't email us. They take what we
Yeah.
say and they're like, all right, I'll do it. And they go do it. And they're like, oh, Matt's okay, or
Yeah.
psych meds are okay. Like I didn't
Yes.
know. So it's one of those things where like
Ketamine's okay. Yes.
whatever, just don't
Ketamine therapy.
therapy. Yeah,
Pharmaceutical grade. Right.
yeah. So like like that's the whole point of this is to just. But thank you, Craig, for reaching out. That's the kind of stuff we're just involved in. This isn't a fancy thing we're doing. We're not in like this glamorous business where everybody wants to take Instagram photos and talking trash. This is addiction, and it's ugly, and it's Alcoholics Anonymous. So we're not like blowing things up. What we do is deal with crisis and trauma, and this isn't beautiful stuff. Yeah, you get the email here and there, thanks so much, or this Craig Livingston who says thanks for helping me get into a place. But this is not glamorous stuff we're doing. This is not pretty work. So it's nice when people do take the second out of that crazy detox rehab thing that they're about to get into. They take 1 second and they're just like, thanks a lot, guys at Talking Trash. You helped me do this. But
Yeah.
there's a ton of them that don't. So anyway, let's get to some listener emails before we call it quits. Tommy,
All
do you have
right.
those?
Yeah. So we've got Steve from Bridgeport. Me and my girl are planning on going to treatment soon. We'd like to do it together, not together, but under the same roof. Is that allowed? And if so, what do we expect?
Mikey.
Expect a train wreck.
Hmm.
That's what you can expect. A virtual train wreck.
Yeah.
Your journey to recovery has to be your own.
Yep.
So does your girl's. Her has to be her own. It'll never work. I've never seen it work. I've been in detox and seen couples together that came in together. There's some jealousy. There's some other, as things start unpeeling like the onion.
Oh yeah.
It's not. It's a train wreck.
Michael, you want to leave us with a little tidbit of knowledge there, buddy?
Tidbit of knowledge. What I would say when you're on meds, when you're in recovery, even when you're in treatment, the first step is the hardest. But I will quote somebody famous. It's not my quote, but I used to believe it all the time. And it's true in addiction. Free your mind, the rest
And the
will
rest will
follow.
follow.
Free your mind,
Colorblind.
the rest will follow. By In Vogue.
There we
Here,
go.
I got a beat for you. You want to do it?
Free your mind, the rest will follow. Free your mind, the rest will follow.
Oh boy. I
Good
love
night.
it. What a great little segment. All right, America.
Here we